actually understand blockchain, if you actually understand the framework of what we're talking about here, not what Litcoin's gonna be in fucking 7 months, no, the actual framework of what blockchain means, the thing that I have not been able to really get my head around is, I hope we all can accept the following statement as truth. If you actually understand blockchain, it's really hard to wrap your head around how Russia, China, and America are gonna accept and allow this to happen.
I think the thing that's most interesting that's going on right now in technology is blockchains. And by blockchains, I mean these decentralized consensus mechanisms that enable us to form everything from corporations to networks to protocols to products that are operated by the community of users underneath, or interested users underneath, as opposed to being owned by centralized entities. And so the first wave of the internet, we saw the creation of classic web companies. And the second wave of the internet, we saw Apple and Google basically take over by the App Store and the Play Store, and also a few other behemoths like Amazon and Netflix and so on rise up, and Facebook. But now I think the most interesting action is going on in blockchains. And Bitcoin is the obvious one, which is we're literally redefining what money is and moving it onto the internet, as opposed to having it be in the possession of any single government or small group of people.
I think it's very important for everyone to actually understand this. If you actually understand what blockchain does, it takes away all the leverage that the countries in our world have outside of their atomic bombs and their armies. It is a substantially big platform. It is a revolutionary 2.0 of all the things the internet, my friends, has fundamentally started to drastically impact our culture, because it's taken the middle and it's given it back to us. All the political, not just the voting, the things we talk about, whether it's Me Too or Black Lives Matter or anything else that's even secondary to those true issues, I hope everybody understands that all our shortcomings as human beings have been protected by the media infrastructures of the last 100 years and are losing their leverage, which is why we're having different conversations and making progress.
To my mind, a blockchain is actually a precursor for a metaverse. Let me tell you what I mean by that. Like when VR, AR really takes off, it's going to have to be global, just like the internet was. It's going to have to be permissionless, just like the original internet was. It's going to have to be censorship free for people to dream and to create and to imagine, as opposed to trying to fit into whatever the local boss thinks that you should and shouldn't do. It's not going to be owned by Mark Zuckerberg. Mark Zuckerberg and his crew are not going to create the next internet, because we just won't have it. Nor by Jack Dorsey, nor by Jeff Bezos, nor by any of them, nor by Tim Cook, benevolent dictator. So they might control the hardware that lets us in, but hopefully there will be competing hardware standards, and they will let us into one large decentralized open space. And that decentralized open space is going to need to know how to allocate resources, how to pay for things, how to protect users' data and privacy, how to interlink with each other. And these are the kinds of distributed consensus and payments problems that blockchains are extremely good at solving.
Blockchain takes that shit to a whole fucking other place, which is why it's actually far more vulnerable than I think this room understands. In parallel, while we think about decentralization, I hope you understand what's happening across the world at a country level, because we're living through the growth of nationalism, right? If you think America is putting up walls with tariffs and actual debating walls, go look at what's happening in India right now. Go look at what's happening across the world. We are now more than ever, over the last 70 years, seeing countries build internal mental walls which are in complete conflict with something that looks like blockchain. This is a very, very big deal, one that is often not respected by people that are enthusiasts of macro new trends. Let me give you the comp that will make sense to you. When Instagram copied the feature of Snapchat stories and pretty much pulled off a pretty substantial punch in the fucking face to Snapchat, it created everybody in the social media world to understand that you better not build a feature, because the ability of an incumbent like Facebook, Apple, or something of its ilk to copy that and stop you from growing is a very big deal. If you look at what's happening with the scooter movement, a lot of the cities and states are not going to get tricked this time the way they did with Uber. The internet has really fucked up the status quo. The people that have leverage are not just going to sit with their fucking hands on their ass and let blockchain do a 2.0 version of that. Please understand that if you believe in the nirvana of complete and utter blockchain at scale, that you're talking about substantial World War III fucking dynamics.
So, the vast majority of what happens in blockchain land is going to be terrible. But I believe that there will be a piece emerging out of that. And I think we've already had a few huge bits around Bitcoin, Ethereum, DeFi, and so on. And now we're seeing with NFTs, and soon I think we'll see with social protocols and with gaming protocols. We're going to see massive revolutionary shifts. And it's a nature of technology that by the time the shift materializes, it's too late for the incumbents. When the iPhone showed up to Nokia and Ericsson, it must have looked like Martians had just landed, from space with battleships, and there was just nothing they could do. If you're sitting at Nokia and you were told, hey, let's go make a Nokia phone to compete with Apple, you would just weep, because there's nothing you could literally do. You'd have to write this massive software stack and build a touchscreen phone, and it was just impossible. It was a computer, which was just a whole different thing. So I think the same way that when blockchain-based technologies really become frictionless and well implemented and seamless, that they're just going to overwhelm the current technologies that they're facing. They'll just be so much more capable, unimaginably powerful compared to what we have out there in the centralized models.